Hey crafty friends. A few weeks ago, I shared a set of 8 cards using Brutus Monroe card panels and creative cards. Some of you were asking, how did I make these and what did you need to recreate these cuties? So today, I'm going to walk you through my process as we make 2 cards. These are quick, simple, and jazzed up with embellishments, such as gold and silver thread, some gems for sparkle, die cuts, and my black journaling pen. So let's get started. Here are the main products I'm using to create these cards. These A2 size modern minimalist card panels are so cool. I'm also using Radiant Roots, which are some of my favorite creative cards, and the new Pop Art Portrait creative cards. You get a total of 36 cards in these packs, so tons of cards to be made. I'm also using the Hello Butterfly cutting die. So with this die, you get the letters, but you get the shadow as well. So you can see these are the 2 pieces that we're going to be cutting with. I love me some glitter stock. So I had to throw in some glitter stock, and you're going to see how I use one of the Brutus Monroe dies to cut this out. We're going to use the Confetti Cannon Chunky Glitter Stock. Look at that texture. And then one of the dies I used was the Space die, which is available on the website. Super duper cute. I want to show you how, if you don't have a card panel, you could just use paper. So we're going to use the Art Journal dual foil sheets for one of our card panels. So let's go ahead and get started with card number 1. I come somewhat prepared, of course, so we can get this done. And so I can show you how quick and simple it is. This modern minimalist card panel has a bold, modern graphic feel with this rainbow gradient that just draws your eyes to it. I like the large futuristic typograph. It gives a very cool contemporary poster vibe when it comes to what the card panel looks like. So I am adhering this to my A2 top fold card base. I'm loving the top fold card bases. Brutus Monroe does have them available if you don't want to cut your own. So as I was looking at this card panel, I wanted to use a photo that coordinate. So we had these new pop art creative cards, and I thought one of these would be wonderful as I was matching up my colors. So one of the things that I like to do is to pop these images up. I went ahead with my scissors, and you can see I am starting to fussy cut this sentiment. This is going to be a great focal point when we get this adhered to our card base. And you saw the other cards I made, so you sort of have an understanding of what it's going to look like as we work through this process. So we have our background ready. We're going to have our image next that is going to take center stage, as well as a few other elements that's really going to make this card pop. All right, so look at that. Quick and simple. And I'm just looking at placement. I'm trying to think about the image, how big it is versus how big my sentiment is. And just what is my overall design layout going to be? Am I going to move her to the left or am I going to move her to the right? I decided to move her more so to the right. Now I knew I wanted to add the chunky glitter stock. I used this on one of the previous cards I made, and I just love it. I love the texture. If you feel it, you like, wow. The rainbow, it's just a really, really fun glitter stock to use. So texture, colors, just really made it pop. I cut a few strips of this out, and then you can see, I was trying to be mindful of where her head is going to be positioned so that as we laid that down, you're not going to see the actual end of the strips of glitter stock. It'll be behind her head. So I add some adhesive to the back, and I'm just laying 3 pieces on the card base. And then I'm just checking for positioning, and I already know how big the sentiment is, so I didn't want to cover it up. But I did want it to show, just to, bring out all the colors in the actual image itself. So once you get that put on there, I'm just going to go ahead and snip off the excess glitter stock. And I keep all those pieces. Now, some of y'all know I don't like keeping pieces, but I do keep that because, I got this one little piece of glitter stock and I can use it in many, many different ways. So one of the things I love to add to my cards are thread. So I tend to make sure I always have some silver. I do have some iridescent, and I have some gold thread. So I have some 3D foam tape behind this image, and I just added that silver thread to pop up and just add some more texture to the card. So next up, my journaling pen. If you look at some of my cards and zoom in, you'll see black circles and swirls and dots and lines. And I did all of that just using a journaling pen. So no rhyme or reason, just adding it. And it just really, really helps to make the card pop. So if you get some time, take a look, zoom in into some of my cards, and you can see where some of that really came through. Now I added the hello there. I added some 3D foam tape on the portion that was stuck to the card base, and then just some glue to the portion that was stuck to the image itself. And look, we're pretty much finished with this card. I did use this glitter shimmer pen just to add some different elements, and when you see it up close and personal, it shines. And look at that. There we go. Card number 1 is complete. So let's go ahead and move on to card number 2. Again, I am using the dual foil sheet. I am cutting that into a A2 size card panel. And technically, using these sheets, you have a total of 8 panels that you can use. You can also take this and run it through with some foil on it, and it will pick up foil on the portions that have toner. So another really cool way that you can use those dual foil sheets. So I brought out my Radiant Roots, one of my favorite card panels by, portrait cards by Brutus Monroe. And I really looked at, when I looked at the color, what colors could I pull from the image? So you can see I'm fussy cutting around it, but she has some pretty pink flowers and some yellow flowers in her hair. And that was just enough to say, okay, I can pair this image very well with the panel that I use for the card base. And I just think that it went really, really well together. So it worked for me. Those pinks and yellows really made it pop. So when we look at the next step, as I'm cutting this out, I'm going to do exactly what you saw me do before. I love dimension, so I used some thin 3D foam tape and added it to the back of the image. And you can see here, I'm adding the panel to my top fold card base. I'm getting that adhered. And as I was working on this design, I was just going to go ahead and pop it up, but I felt like it needed a little bit more. The actual image itself was dark, so I started playing around just to say, where am I going to add all these pieces? And you'll see as I keep moving on, I midstream started doing some other things. But we're using this Hello sentiment from the Hello Butterfly die. And I'm just showing you what I had to do to put this together. And our first card I already had it put together, but you can see here, I decided to cut out the letters in black. And I have that shadow in white. And I'm just adhering the pieces. And once you have that done, you have a great sentiment. So here's where I was conflicted at what I was going to do next. But I decided, because of the darkness of the image, that I was going to go ahead and do some distressing around my card panel. And I'm using a black Simon Hurley ink to accomplish this look. Pretty simple, but oh so fun. So I use that space die. That's more of a galaxy theme, but in this case, it's just a really nice die because it has stars and a ring, right? So you can use that for just about anything. It doesn't have to be space related. And in this case, if you look at some of the other cards I made, you can see I use this several times. So I'll go ahead and put some Barely Arts glue on here and just to get that adhered. And it looks so pretty against the darker distressed surface as well. It really made it pop. So here you can see me with some gold thread. I just, jumbled it up in my hand, and I did move it around just a little bit just to make sure that when I put this image down, you can still see it to the left and the right of the image. I didn't want to cover it up completely, or what's the point in using the thread if I was going to cover it up? So I placed the image right on top of there, and then I'm adding my hello sentiment. And check that out. And couldn't stop. Had to add the bling, right? So I had some pink gems, and I'm going ahead and I'm adding them there as well. So that's about it. We have created 2 cards, and you can see a few other cards I made. And I hope you found this to be quick and simple too. So if you enjoyed this, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you later. Happy crafting.